Julie, I think people know who you are, but if you want to maybe tell them you're,
Oh my God.
serial CEO, maybe best known for stepping into pets.com before this. And
It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Yes, so I've actually was sort of a CEO people brought in to either turn around the company or expand it, and then I decided to do my own. So 6 years ago I founded the RealReal, and I was looking for an opportunity to get back into commerce and something that Amazon couldn't replicate, something that actually was a huge opportunity, not a small opportunity. And then I had a aha moment, did some research, and we will be 6 years old. Well, officially we're 6 years old now because we secured the company in March 2011, but we didn't start shipping any product until the end of June 2011.
okay. And again, because there's a lot of VCs in the audience, including one of yours, you've raised, is it correct that you've raised $123 million to date?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep.
And for these investors, might you raise another round?
We're good for a while. We're good. Good.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about your numbers. Let's run through the company. I think I read somewhere that you sold $100 million in watch and fine jewelry last year. But
That's right.
So overall, what was your revenue like last year?
So we report both on GMV and also on net. So our GMV was well over 300, and this year it's going to be well over 500.
Wow.
So we're having a nice little clip, and yeah, things are good. It's good. It's good little business.
That's great. What are your best selling items? Is it the jewelry? It seems like that's when you really began to take off, or maybe that's my wrong impression.
Well, no, actually, but because the reason why we went into jewelry is we were trying to service our consignor base, and our consignors kept saying, "Can you sell this for me? Can you sell this?" And we thought, well, we'll try. And then our next move was, how can we remove friction from the consignor base? So we started opening what we call valuation offices, where we have one in San Francisco, 55 San Francisco 8th floor, in case anyone wants to take a watch, fine jewelry, or even handbags up there. And we said you can bring in your jewelry, you can bring in your watches. We have a gemologist or a watch expert on site, or both. Make an appointment, and that exploded our business. So we have 6 of them now across the U.S., soon to have 7, and it really did explode. Our purpose wasn't we don't put any pressure on people to consign. What we wanted people to do was comparison shop, because we knew you're going to make 2.5 to 3 times more if you sell your fine jewelry with us, and we also wanted to remove any friction. It's sort of a weird space if you've ever tried to sell jewelry at not the RealReal. It's a pawn shop environment. It's a little gross. So we wanted to bring the whole process up front, have a discussion with people, and make it transparent and respectful.
I feel like this, the fact that you have these brick and mortar stores now is
Offices.
Or office.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it seems like a fairly new development, or maybe like at least an underreported one.
That's true. No, it's only, it's true. We always do a test. So we did a test in New York City, and we always have been in Midtown. And so we did a little test in Midtown, gosh, about 18 months ago. And then all of a sudden we had 3 offices. And then we were looking for another floor in our office building. And once, it doesn't take us long to get to profitability, so then we're expanding them as fast as possible. And underreported, we tend to report in the city when we open it. We really haven't made a big statement about it.
Okay.
We're just chugging along here.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. So yeah, let's maybe you answered this, but what are your best selling items? Is it jewelry?
Well, actually, if you just go by brand, it's sort of these 3 across all age groups, except men have their own rhythm. For men, it's Rolex is our number 1 selling item. For women, it's the Royal 3, Chanel, Hermes, and Louis Vuitton, always. Those on a branded basis.
And that, so clothing and jewelry.
So, that's the interesting thing. If you shop in any of the big brands, like Gucci, let's talk about Gucci, it's a fun brand. They do about 11% of their business in apparel.
Okay.
So it's not really an apparel-driven company. We do a tremendous amount of volume in apparel, men's and women's. And whenever I have talked to the brands occasionally, and they're sort of blown away. So apparel is still our #1 in unit and actually dollars, just because we do so much.
That's interesting. And you mentioned men, Rolexes, and the clothes they're buying. Are they shopping, or is it women shopping for them? I mean, I was sort of wondering if you know what your sort of gender breakdown is.
We do. I mean, we're not, so guys, look, we need more male consignment. This may not be my market, although I see some of you would be really good people. We actually don't get enough men's consignment in. We sell through faster. We like men to shop our site. 20% of our shoppers are men shopping for themselves. They are buying watches primarily and leather goods, but also apparel. And here's why your average order size is a little lower, but you don't like to return. We do so we do take returns. So that's why it's like, okay, well, that's good. So it all evens out.
That's really good. What percentage of your shoppers are also consigning items?
So we have about 4 buyers for every consigner.
Okay.
And half of our consigners buy. So it's not really that many. It's about 1/4 of our buyers consign, although it's growing because we've shipped millions of units now into people's homes, so they're starting to recirculate those back on our site.
So that could be, I mean, I'm sure it's, the perennial problem, the supply and demand, but is that a problem? And I had come to visit you a few years ago at your, what seemed like an enormous facility, and I think it's like 2 or 3 times the size of that now down south, but and you had mentioned that in the summer it's especially tricky because people go on vacation and they're not consigning. So how do you make sure that you have a constant flow of goods?
So, I mean, the nice thing is we do have, our business primarily, we run a lot of lead generation, drive people to the website, and then we have salespeople in the field that will go to your home, clean out your closets. They go to the Hamptons, they go to the summer places, so there's a flow of product. And then we also have an inside sales, so you can put things in a box and just send it to us. So we sort of, and to be honest, demand isn't that great either. So supply and demand sort of tack.
In the summer.
And it's not really this, it's like, it starts around this won't be a big surprise, people take vacations, 3rd week of June till about the middle of August, and then it goes crazy.
Does it?
Right.
One thing as a shopper that's been sort of frustrating to me, and I realize I sound like a baby and we're all spoiled by super fast shipping, but I always want items faster. It takes about a week. Is there any way to speed that up a little?
It takes about a week if it's in our East Coast warehouse, but we have a warehouse on the West Coast, and so at some point we'll designate this will arrive faster, or this, if you want it today, here's the selection. But we're just, our West Coast warehouse is so big, and so we need to balance the supply across both. But our goal, and when we think about servicing the consigner, it's to get their product on the site fast. Mm-hmm. And the supply does tend to run up and down the coast more than in the center. So and us doing a centralized warehouse would add so much time to get something on the site. Mm-hmm. So yeah, sorry, it may take 5 days if you order. But we are working on ways to, hopefully it'll be out by the fall. If you're in New York and you order something in our New Jersey warehouse, we can get it to you same day, but that's our goal.
That's great. So you had also published a story that one of your colleagues sent me this week that I thought was really interesting. It sort of talked about the demographics. Can you talk a little bit about, it sounds like it's all over the map, and younger women are buying different products.
So this is really interesting, and it's a really interesting, so 1/3 of our buyer base are millennials. Oh, 10 minutes. Sort of sad. 1/3 of our buyer base are millennials, and they still all buy Chanel, Hermes, and Louis. That's why they're the Royal 3. However, after that, they're really buying a lot of Gucci, they're buying a lot of Saint Laurent, they're buying a lot of Celine. When you get to your late 30s, you stop buying, you still buy those 3, and then you shift into brand. So we've been able to track brand by age, and it's really, really interesting. When I'm meeting with the brands, and I have met on a regular basis with all the top brands, I always tell them I'm a gateway drug for their brands, and if they aren't in that millennial mix, they're in trouble, and some brands are in trouble.
Very interesting. And also, I got. I'm sorry. What happened? Which brands are in trouble?
You know what? And they know it. Dolce is in trouble. So no one young. I mean, honestly, we can't. We pick it up from people over 40 and sell it to people over 50. And if you know what it looks like, it's sort of scary when you think about that because it's very curvy stuff that we're doing. So anyway, it has a whole disconnect with their advertising, and they know they're not reaching the millennials at all, and they're worried about it. That's one. The other one, and then we also predict trends. So we can tell you if we start getting a lot of flow of product in, then we know that that's over and it's not good for the brand, and we have to drop the prices. So when they ask us for requests, we don't give them raw numbers, we'll index it. So I would just say if any of you, this is a male brand too, but most women have this brand versus men. If you have any Valentino rock studs, give them up, girls, because it's over. Party's over.
You know, another thing that I thought was interesting, but maybe I misread this, but that younger women spend more on shoes and that sort of drops off? For some reason I thought...
No,
that's
everybody
the opposite.
loves our shoes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, maybe I misread
Right.
that then. And how much do the average items sell for?
Well, we don't really give that out,
Okay.
but we do, Net-a-Porter, Ukes just announced their average order size in pounds, and I think it was like 331 on an average pounds. So at today's exchange rate, that's $431 average order size, and ours is bigger.
Oh, is it?
So that was cool. But we sell, but again, that's our basket mix because we sell a lot of fine jewelry and watches. We also have things as low as $50 on the site. They tend to be designer brands, but maybe they're a few seasons old. So you can go from $50, and our highest sale has been $100,000, and we've done that a couple times.
What was that?
It was absolutely, all right, this is good. This is amazing to me because it happened so fast. We picked up from one of our valuation offices a Saudi princess as consigned in Van Cleef & Arpels cuff, diamond cuff, retail $250,000. And in 4 days, we sold it to another Saudi princess on the other side of the U.S. for $100,000. Now that flew. That was surreal. But we do sell things $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a regular basis. And prior to that $100,000 sale, our biggest sale was $99,000. So we just eked it up a little.
That's incredible. And do most people buy one item, two items? Is there...
No, they tend to buy more than almost two, about 1.8.
Okay.
And they buy often. So once you buy often.
I would guess that most of your, like what percentage of your buyers are recurrent? Is that something that you...
No, we don't give it out
know
high.
a lot? Yeah, that I would imagine.
It's a high number.
What about mobile shopping?
Oh gosh, you know, this is really interesting. I've sat on these panels about 3 years ago, and everyone's like, we're not doing apps. Apps are dead. We're not doing apps. It was right after the big app rush. No one's shopping on apps. Our app is phenomenal, and it's like the engine, the little engine keeps on doing it. I think it's closer. It's going to generate about 100 million in GMV this year on our little app. Mobile responsive is becoming really, really big, and we keep making it a better shopping experience. But between the app and mobile responsive, it is the majority of our visits, slightly less on, still not half of our sales because our mobile responsive is still a little too slow, so we're working on that.
That's really amazing. I shop on the desktop primarily just so I can see everything, so that's very interesting. Also, you know, I don't know how many of you came to the last event, but we had Emily Weiss of Glacia here, and she talked at great length about their social media strategy, and they're so heavily reliant on it. I wonder if you have a strategy. It seems like it would be a little bit harder because your items are here today, gone tomorrow, but it seems like you have to have some sort of game plan in social these days, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, first of all, I think I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a rock star. We use social media to brand. We don't convert as well because by the time we get an ad, a small post up, it's usually sold out. So the conversion's low, the branding's good. I think it's safe to say we're still figuring it out. When we think about social media, Instagram's our choice to do something, but again, it's not converting sales, so it's a hard one for us.
Right, especially when
It's
everything
really a
else
sell. It really is because people click through and the item's gone.
right, so it's
And then we
frustrating.
have to do better job at showing them things that are like that, so that's our problem. We're working on it.
And I wanted to talk to you sort of about a couple bigger picture things with the few minutes we have left, but I just also wanted to know what else is on your roadmap. So you've got these new facilities. You're maybe, you're always, I'm assuming, protecting your mobile.
So here's what we did last year. We always test. So we said we're going to do a little pop-up in New York and see what happens. And we're going to bring our experts forward because one of the things, we now have over 50 experts in our warehouse plus our gemologists out in the field. So you figure about 75 people that are either gemologists, watch experts, art curators, or brand authenticators. And we decided to bring a handful of them forward into a small, about a 3,500 square foot pop-up store in Soho for did it for 2.5 weeks. And to showcase the merchant, obviously wanted to sell, it was December going into high seasonality, showcase the merchandise, and we did over $2 million in revenue in 2.5 weeks. So we thought, okay, that's pretty good. So, and we also, half of the people that shopped there were new to the RealReal. About some of the people were had heard of us, but not shopped because they didn't understand the quality and the fact that we have all these experts. So we're going to open our first real store in New York, in Soho, and we may have to start with the pop-up unless we can get some of the work. It takes a little bit longer to get work done there. So we may start with the pop-up, moving to a permanent store. And the nice thing is we rent a whole warehouse, pick, pack, and ship. And the store will do the same in the store underneath it, and which means that anything can go at any time. It also meant we were constantly replenishing. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have a store, it'll have valuation offices, you can drop it off, but it really will be selling. And I have to tell you, one of the things we learned, which I guess shouldn't be that big a surprise, when you have 100 Birkins in the wall and people walk in, they've never seen that even in Hermes, they tend to call their friends, tell their friends, and then they shop if they're in the mood to spend $10,000 a handbag. But they shop a lot. So we were moving a lot of Birkins. Our mix was different in the store. It tended to be high value things that were hard to shop for in New York. So it's going to be, if that works, we'll do a few of them. But we're going to start with one.
Number 2 in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I've got to wrap it up and turn it over to the audience for a second, but what about consolidation in your industry? We're seeing some companies go out of business, yours is powering along. What do you see happening, and is there anybody that you have your eye on if you were to, would we see RealReal make an acquisition?
Look, when we got funding 5 years ago, a lot of companies got funding in the resale space, and we're the only ones that went high-end with authentication and took possession of goods. We buy data where we look at customer overlap. We obviously can't see consignor overlap. We have absolutely no customer overlap with any of the other people who I don't need to give them a little commercial. I would assume what we did was create something and add trust into the equation. We authenticate, and our whole thing is we really don't sell fakes. We sell you products we've inspected, we've authenticated, and we stand behind those products. No one else can make that claim. So I would say and everyone else, I always look at every other company that started, they're really competing with eBay. They're a fashion eBay, or they're a Salvation Army eBay, or they're a mobile eBay, and we're not eBay. So I would say no. We won't buy them. We have a lot of white space in front of us. Our potential consignor market's over 18 million in the U.S. alone, and we're always product is king or queen in our business, and so we have a lot of product to get. We have a lot of opportunities. I would say we're going to we are bumping up into Sotheby's and Christie's on the low end. And we have 0 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would say that we're going to continue to service up in the luxury space at a great value.
And I just wanted to does anyone want to ask a question or two?
so many department stores are losing foot traffic. So was that in consideration when you were thinking about opening up a full-time flat store? And secondly, a lot of high-end boutiques like Louis Vuitton never discount their items, but they have so many unsold items. Is there a partnership?
Oh, yeah. Those are both really good questions. So we're not worried about department stores foot traffic coming up because what we're selling, because really it's a value-driven economy in the U.S. And so when you have value, you've got to have what we offer is amazing product at a really good price, and they can't discount like we do. So that is, actually the Soho Retail Association told us we were the second best performing store in Soho behind Apple, even we were only open 2.5 weeks. So we just feel like we're really on to something, and we offer such a wide range of product, including art and home, by the way, which we sold a lot in that store. When it comes to partnerships with the brands, we are into conversations with them. And one of the things I don't talk about, but it's a key tenet of what we do, we're really a sustainability play because we're really part of a circular economy. We're not even recycling, we're recirculating. That's a big deal, especially to people that are conscious about that in fast fashion. And the brands are really starting to understand that two things. One, if something has a resale value, there's a high probability that someone will buy it, pay more for new. And then if they can get liquidity, now people have known this with cars and homes and watches for a long time, especially men's watches. So they're starting to sort of key into, we're actually a value add for them selling new. The other thing is at least the Caring Group and LVMH Group are really, really taking sustainability seriously. And while they still destroy quite a bit of products, they're conscious that it isn't a cool thing to do and that there might be a partnership with us sometime in the future because they really do like this circular nature. And as I say to them when I meet with them, my consignors are your buyers. And this year I'm going to pay out in the US alone over $300 million to that consignor base, and they tend to go out and buy new. We get some of the money, but they buy new, and guess what they buy? They buy products that have good resale value. So it's starting to work. I mean, next year we're going to pay out, let's just double that number. So you just keep thinking, at some point they'll come around because we'll be paying out $1 billion and they'll be like, whoa. And we don't do peer-to-peer payments. So just think we're like a fire hose and great communication back. So yeah, they're getting there. I have to say I was really pleasantly surprised because I just go to Paris and meet with them because you can't, because all orders flow from Paris. And they're, Caring in particular is really worried about, Caring Group's Gucci, Stella, Alexander McQueen, Saint Laurent, they're really, really worried about sustainability and the planet. And they actually bonus their CEOs on how much carbon footprint they use and how much if they destroy too much product, it goes against their bonus. So we've got their ear. Sorry, it's a long answer, but it's important. It's important.
That's great. I had no idea. I think one more question, and we've got to move on. So sorry.
You talked about a couple areas where you guys could use some help. So things like the mobile app, there's some opportunity. Social, there's some opportunity. Also, all this white space and wanting to grow. Where do you need the most help?
Product. So if you all want to make an appointment to consign at the RealReal and get your jewelry, honestly, we sell through everything we get in very, very quickly. So every technology can give us incremental everything, but at the end of the day, we have a 98% sell-through in 90 days, and over 65%'s gone in a month. So I would say product. And the other thing we've always looking at, we wrote our own pricing algorithms, and we've got data scientists working on that, but we've always tried to work with outside suppliers for pricing, but because we're single SKU, it never works. It's always some weird thing that doesn't matter, but if someone else has a better solution that we could augment on pricing, remember, every single thing we sell, there's one. So it's a hard one.
Thank you so much, Julie. I love this. I learned so much.